Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another video brought to you by your one and only Literary Vero. All right. So here I am again. And again, see, the football season has started. And I'm going to be talking about Prime a lot and Colorado football because there's just so much to unpack. Uh, it's so multi-layered, right? You'll have one topic, then out of that topic comes other topics. It's almost like the Gremlins. Remember that movie when water touched those little critters? They start to multiply. That's what talking about Colorado brings. Like, that's the end result. That's the consequence. It's when you talk about one thing, it brings on multiple topics. And bringing on multiple topics means that you're going to have multiple people with different, viewpoints, different perspectives. And I earlier on in the week, I did give It's Benji a lot of kudos because of his comment. But to be fair, it doesn't mean I have to agree. I'm going to read someone else's comment that totally goes against what most of us on this thread believe. That what we do believe is that the coaching practices of Coach Prime are subpar at best, very below average at best. We know that they're not trying to run the ball. We know that the offensive schemes are not exotic enough to actually cause the defense to think. They're making it very easy for defenses to tee off on them. In other words, every time Colorado plays a football team, no matter how bad the defense is on the opposing side, they're going to look good that day because that speaks to the ineptitude of the offense that Coach Prime is heading. Now, you guys may say, but Coach Prime is not the offensive coordinator. We know that, Sherlock. We know that. But he is the CEO. He is the head coach. And his imprint is strongly on the offense, meaning that his son being the quarterback, he has a strong say-so in what type of plays he wants to run, what type of scheme he wants to run. So don't put this on Pat Schumer. This is 99.9% all on Coach Prime. So I say that to say this. I'm going to read a comment by this guy named Do Chilliard 2434. That's his username. I'm going to read his comment. And the reason why I'm doing this because it's going to, in a way, it's going to apply a little bit of nuance to the way people reason. Because remember, I'm all about critical thinking skills. You don't have to be smart. You just have to think. And the more you think, the better of a thinker you become. The better of a thinker you become, the better judgments you can make. The better judgments you can make, it actually ends up creating newer pathways for you to become a better critical thinker. So it's almost as if you're caking on your ability to be a better thinker. It's like you're elevating the status of your ability to become a better thinker. In other words, it's like going to the gym. You work out, you build muscle, you keep working out, you build more muscle. So that's what I'm trying to teach here. So I'm not reading this comment to start an argument. I want to provide you guys of how people think and where their perceptions come from. Okay, so this person's comment that I'm going to read, I want you guys to bear with me. I don't agree with it at all, but just because I don't agree with it does not mean that I will not respect it. I have to push you guys, push everybody that listens to me or whoever you listen to. Force yourself to get into the habit of listening to people that you don't agree with. You say, wow, Literary Pharaoh, why would I waste my time listening to people I don't agree with? You have to listen to people you don't agree with so you can gain a better insight into your opposition's perspectives. So when you do have an argument, you can be on a better platform of attack. You can have a better vantage point to attack their position. Or sometimes you may end up seeing certain things that you guys align with. There may be certain things that you guys have in common. All right. So because so many times we're always hyper focused on the differences that we sometimes overlook the things that we have in common. So I'm gonna read this comment, and I'm gonna be very respectful in my response to the comment, because I don't want to disrespect the person who contributed to my channel. Because even though you write something on my channel that I disagree with, at least you wrote something. You didn't put 2 words, you're a hater, or 3 words, you are a hater. You're a hater. Like, that's so childish. You're a hater. Why am I a hater? This guy didn't call me a hater. he has an argument of why he's totally against what I'm against. And not that I'm against Prime, I'm just against his practices, his approach to the football game, his whole program, the way he's running it. You even have people like Joe Klatt, who's a big advocate for Colorado. He's an alum. He's now off the train. He's now off the bandwagon. He's like, I'm done. So you have people who were for Prime initially. They're like, man, something's not right. So it's not just me. There are many people who are not seeing the progression in terms of how this program is going to be successful either now or in the near future. We don't see it happening at all. So I'm going to read this comment. All right. Again, his name is at Do Chilliard. Doc Chilliard. Do Chilliard. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's at Do Chilliard 2434. He wrote this comment. He says, here's a little info for your intellect. He's talking about Coach Prime. He says he coached in the junior leagues, the young ones. He won 4 championships. So I'm going to stop there for a second. You're going to see what this guy's going to do. His whole comment is talking about the accolades of Coach Prime. Okay? So this is the way to build the credibility of a person. But remember, we're not talking about Coach Prime's past accolades. We're talking about now in the present. But a lot of times when people make comments and they go against you, they usually don't stay on the topic. They usually have to pull you out of the main topic to talk about something else that doesn't resonate. I mean, it does matter that he has past accolades, but we're talking about now. It's a what have you done for me lately league. It's also a what have you done for me lately world. All right. You could be married to your wife for 15 years. You could have been great for 14 years. But in that 15th year, if you become abusive, if you become verbally abusive or physically abusive, and you become negligent to your duties as a husband and a father, your wife doesn't give a damn about the first 14 years. She's worrying about what the hell are you doing now? So in this marriage that people have towards Coach Prime, because they're so emotionally attached to him because of his past successes, that's great. But I don't care about his past successes. I'm talking about now, currently. But let me keep reading. He says this. He says, here's a little info for your intellect. He's referring to Coach Prime. He coached in the junior leagues, the young ones, 4 championships. Coach Prime, coached in Texas high school, 3 championships. Back to back to back. He coached at HBCU D1 level, 2 SWAC championships, back to back. But he can't coach? Hush, children. This is what the comment is saying. He says, hush, children. You are in the presence of sports greatness. He's coming. You all know it. He's had 1 season and 2 games. Who else are you going to judge on that scale? You say you think? Well, do you only think about what fits your subjective opinion? And while you diss him at every turn, now again, he says, I diss him. You guys know I'm not dissing him personally as a man, as a person. I'm totally against his practices on the football field, strictly from an X's and O's standpoint. I'm not dissing him personally as a man. Okay? That's not what I'm doing. Now, I did make a comment on one of my videos that I think that the way he's playing Travis Hunter and the things that he's exposed his son Shador to doesn't come across as a man that cares for those kids. Because if you did, you would not expose your son to that type of punishment. It's not the offensive line's fault. There are ways to protect your son. Travis Hunter playing over 130 snaps a game is not healthy for his immediate future and his long-term future. The guy's not going to last. If he does make it to the league, when he makes it to the league, he's not going to play 2 ways in the NFL. It's never happened. It's not going to happen. And even if he's capable of doing it, it's not even conducive to success because he's going to wear himself out. He'll be out of the league by year 3 because he's burnt out. There's no way in hell that you can play every snap on offense and defense. But I'm dissing Prime, though. Okay, that's what he says. He says that I'm dissing him. So he says this. And while you diss him at every turn, and he continues, he says, he, Coach Prime, is liked and respected in circles most of you can't approach. So here he is talking about Coach Prime's elite status. I don't care about his status. I don't care if Coach Prime is a billionaire and I'm a hundredaire. This is not about our status. I don't care what kind of damn circles Coach Prime is in. I don't even want to be in those circles. I'm very comfortable in the circle that I'm in. The circle that I'm in is me, my wife, and my 3 kids. That's all I care about. I don't give a damn about circles. I'm a god in my own cipher. I'm a god in my own realm. Okay, I don't care about circles. So I'm not gonna repress my thinking processes and my ability to think critically and use my eyes and use my judgment and use my brain because somebody is in a higher status than me. That's called elitism. Elitism, like people who are elite, all of a sudden they garner different judgments from everybody else because they have a particular status. The only reason why he is what he is because he was athletically gifted. That's just DNA, genetics. That has nothing to do. I mean, yeah, he worked hard, but most of that is just genetics. So, are we supposed to like worship him because he was a great athlete and he's in circles that I can't get in? Well, I'm in circles that he can't get in. Okay. Anyway, he is liked and respected in circles most of you can't approach. He's lived many American athletes' dream. He played and won 2 Super Bowls. He hit .533 in a World Series. He has an NFL Gold jacket, and he's had the blessing to coach his sons and win with them. Well, he's not winning now. Then he said, that part is me. Sorry, I don't want to confuse y'all. He says, and this is what the commenter said. I don't want to confuse you guys. He says, and he has had the blessing to coach his sons and win with them. And me, I interjected right now. It says, but he's not winning now. Going back to the comment, the guy says, yeah, guys, I'm jealous too. Difference is I respect greatness. So, in this comment, this guy is implying that we're jealous. I'm not jealous. I just want to see Colorado do well. As a matter of fact, I think that I'm just a victim of my own passion. Because I think deep down, I do have a passion to see Coach Prime succeed with his sons. But I also have a passion to err on the side of truth and err on the side of reality and logic. And everything you just said in that comment at Dude Chilliard 2434, everything you just said, it is not relevant to what's happening now. All you did was name his accolades. You talked about his past accomplishments. And again, Coach Prime's past accomplishments, though you're viewing it as a gift, it's actually a curse. I'm going to tell you why it's a curse, because that level of accomplishments, the level of accolades that he's accrued over the years, being an athlete and being a coach, blinds him to his own inefficiencies and blinds him to his own inadequacies. In other words, when you've been so successful in past things, it's hard to humiliate yourself or humble yourself, because being humiliated and being humble, they're cousins. They're aligned to one another. Right now, he's going through a process of humiliation. He's going to lose a lot of games this year if he doesn't wake up and humble himself and understand that he does not have the personnel to throw the ball 99.9% of the time. He needs to understand that he needs to have a dual threat offense and insert certain types of exotic schemes in the run game to keep the defense, honest to a certain degree. When you become overwhelmingly predictable, you become easy to beat. Now, you call me, you say that I'm dissing him. I'm not dissing him. I'm dissing his philosophy, but then you name all his accolades. But I'm here to tell you that all those accomplishments is his own. It's coming to a detriment. It's for his harm, not his own good. But you won't see it that way, because what you're doing, you're tying in his past accomplishments and trying to, you're trying to infuse his past accomplishments and push it into the current time capsule that we're in now. So we're in 2024. You're taking all the things that he did in his playing days and things that he did when he coached his kids in high school. You're going even way back to when he coached Little League. And you're naming all his accomplishments. That's great. Let me ask you this. Do you also know that there's a level of nuance, and there's a deeper sense of having a knowledge of the game that's required to be successful when you get to the college level, especially Power 5A, Power 5 conference football? Do you know that? Do you know that Pee Wee football is not the same thing as playing in college Division I in the Power 5 conferences? It's like night and day. And then it's even a bigger jump when you're talking about college and the NFL. So you can be successful as a high school coach running the kind of offense you're running now with Shador. You can be successful because your defenses are not that equipped. But most D1 defenses are equipped. They have players who earn scholarships to go to those universities and play. So those players are good. They may not be all world, they may not be all American, but they're good enough to sack the shit out your son. So you're talking about incongruous concepts. You're talking about a man that coached little children versus a man that's now coaching young men who are on the cusp of trying to get to the NFL. And I'm here to tell you that his successes in the past are hurting him now because he thinks that he can pull off the same things he pulled off when he was successful now in Power 5A conference. That's why he's so quick to throw people underneath the bus. That's why he's so quick to throw his offensive linemen underneath the bus. It's just appropriate for him because he can't see why he's losing. He cannot see the forest. He cannot distinguish the forest from the trees right now. Right now, he really thinks that it has nothing to do with his X's and O's. It has nothing to do with his philosophy on offense. It has everything to do with his offensive line. It's not his fault. It's something wrong with the players. I'm telling you, that's what he thinks. And that, to me, is a man that cannot be humbled. That's a man because he's been so successful, like you stated on your comment, that he cannot change. He will not change. You know, you guys know this. Everything that goes up eventually comes down. You know, everybody that rises eventually falls, especially when you rise and you don't adhere to the symbols and the signs that are being put right in front of your face, and you don't actually respect those components and principles. If you override them and you want to rest on your laurels, you're going to be bound to fail. If you want to rest on your past accomplishments and say, hey, he's done all this, that's great. So what does his past accomplishments have to do with what the hell he's doing now? See, a lot, that's emotional. Your comment is just laced with emotion because you're so attached to what he's accomplished that you're thinking that he's going to just all of a sudden be successful the same way he had success there. I'm here to tell you this. That's assuming Coach Prime even stays in Colorado or even if he goes to any other college. Coach Prime is not winning a national championship anytime soon. Definitely not with Colorado. Okay? Now, you say he's only coached, what did you say? You say a season and 2 games in. Yeah, that's a good sample size to see a coach's philosophy. And I think people that are reasonable people, see, Jason Whitlock was at first just being highly critical of Prime. I wasn't like that initially. Initially, I was on the train. I still am on the train. I'm hanging on. And I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on by a whisker. But I'm not going to jump off. I'm going to see this thing through. But you better believe that I'm going to be here along the way to make my critiques. When I see things that are good, I'm going to mention it. When I see things that are horrible, I'm going to mention that. I'm going to try to be as fair as possible. Okay? I'm going to be balanced with my approach. So, when you have a man that's been so successful in everything else, it's hard to all of a sudden see that you're not being successful. And so it's sort of like running into a brick wall. You're like, okay, why doesn't this brick wall just go away? Though the brick wall won't go away. You're supposed to contend with that brick wall. That brick wall is an obstacle. It's something to deal with. And right now, the only person that's stopping Colorado is Coach Prime because of his past successes. See, you laid the trap to your own argument. You're trying to tell me that he's so great in all of his past accomplishments that I'm jealous of him, because that's what you're implying, that this is all of jealousy, that he's great. No one's questioning his greatness in terms of his playing days, the things he did on the field, on a baseball diamond. No one's questioning his past accomplishments with winning state championships in high school or winning championships with his sons. That's great. What the hell does that have to do with now? How many times do we have coaches who've dominated the collegiate levels of coaching get to the professional levels and they do horrible? They perform horribly. They get fired in about 2 or 3 seasons. No one's going to let you keep a job and let you get tenured because of your past successes. Your resume has to be updated, meaning that your resume may help you get the current position, but you have to continue to update your resume with successful things to let your employer know that they made the right choice. Right now, and I've said this before, because, number one, because of Coach Prime's past accomplishments, for sure, it's blinded him to humiliate himself, to humble himself, to make a change, because he won't do that. And number two, his son's the freaking quarterback. So he wants to make sure his son gets to the NFL by any means necessary. So everything that he did was for this. So this is what's going to happen. Colorado's not winning a national championship. If a change is not made to this football team, they're not going to a bowl game this year. Shedeur will get drafted. Travis Hunter will get drafted. That will be the accomplishment of Coach Prime. He can say that I helped my son, I coached my son all the way till he got drafted. That'll be the success. But in terms of team success, no. And that's the problem I have. I said this before on another video. There are 2 teams in Colorado. There's Team Sanders, which consists of Shiloh, Shedeur, and Travis. And then there's the rest of the guys on the team. That's it. There's 2 teams. There's not one cohesive unit, because everything that Coach Prime is doing is not for the betterment of the team. He's trying, and if you can't see that, then you're being disingenuous, you're being blind. If you can't see that he's trying to pad the stats of his son and make sure that his son is being put on display as a great passer by passing the ball 90% of the time and barely trying to run, and I'm sure you're one of the guys that thinks that they can't run the ball too. You buy that narrative, but the numbers doesn't say that. The numbers show that they can run. Coach Prime is choosing not to run. He's choosing not to include a tight end for maximum protection. He's choosing to go 5 wide. He's choosing to run the same basic plays. And you think that's great? You think that's greatness? No, greatness is seeing what you have and using what you have and coaching to what you have. Greatness is not taking somebody's past accomplishments and then overlooking the pile of shit that they're putting in front of you and acting like it doesn't stink, and then predicating your assessments of the shit that you see right there in front of you, predicating your assessment off of past accomplishments. That's called illogical thinking. That's called illogical thinking. And I'm saying illogical because I'm trying to be respectful. I could use another word, but I'm not going to use the other word. It's not rooted in common sense. I'm not taking anything away from Coach Prime and what he's accomplished in the past. That's great. But what does that have to do with 2024, with them starting off the season 1-1, barely beating North Dakota State, a team they're supposed to demolish, then getting blown out by Nebraska? And what do you think? He's going to all of a sudden, an epiphany, something's going to go off in his head, in Coach Prime's head, he's going to change his entire philosophy and do something different to make sure his team is successful against Colorado State? No, they're going to do the same thing. The man's hard-headed. He's stubborn. He's strong-willed. He wants to prove to the world that he can win his way. But the world will humble him. The world will humble him. Remember, he was asked a question during a post-game conference. He loves cutting off reporters. He loves doing that. He'll say, I think the reporter asked a question to the fact about running the ball or something like that. And Coach Prime was like, well, we can only do what the defense gives us. I mean, the first game when he threw over 400 and something yards, see, he always goes back to his son's personal statistics. He always goes back to Shedeur's personal statistics. he's like, well, in the other game when he threw, in the other game he's referring to the North Dakota State game. He's like, in the other game when he threw for 440 something yards, y'all weren't asking these questions. I mean, it was all right then. Well, yeah, that was North Dakota State, and you guys probably could have beat them by more points if you guys ran the ball more. See, Coach Prime, he understands what he's doing, but you guys are enabling him. Like people like you who leave comments like that, you're allowing his greatness to blind you. Look, just take away his past accomplishments. Just selectively have amnesia for a second. Conveniently, just insert that in your brain and act like those past accomplishments didn't occur. And let's just look at Coach Sanders. Let's not even call him Coach Prime, because I think all that glamour and glitz, for people who can't handle it, it's hard for some people to compartmentalize their thoughts. They end up meshing their emotional sentiments towards a particular individual. They mesh their sentiments towards a particular individual with logic, and so it just mixes and matches up. It doesn't make sense. You end up just talking out of emotion, because emotion is always going to override logic. If you insert an iota of emotion, what you have to do is to remove the emotion completely so you can think logically. Let's just look at Coach Sanders. Let's just say his name is just Coach Sanders. He didn't play professional sports. He's just an average. He's just a normal African American coach. Would you still have the same assessment of him as you have now? No, you wouldn't. You'll be asking for them to fire him. But the reason why you're not saying that is because he's Coach Prime. He has all these accomplishments.